Okay, all right. We are at 8 p.m. So let us get started. Okay. We have a big agenda, and I don't want to delay the things. So welcome everyone. I request everyone who is not talking to put on mute. Please share your questions, anything on the chat window. We are monitoring the chat window, and we will answer the questions as they come. We also prepared a list of questions based on the information you provided during your registration. So we have an agenda packed of those questions. We will talk about those items first, and then in the remaining time, we will take any questions, live questions from the audience. Preferred method for the questions is via chat, just to keep the session, less noisy. But you are welcome to ask the questions verbally as well. But please do that towards end of the session. uh, when you are not talking, please keep on mute. So welcome everyone. This session is for higher studies in USA. So we have people from different parts of USA who have done different things to help guide us uh, during that session. Uh, Okay. So before we start, I just want to spend a couple minutes over RAAH activities. As you probably know, RAAH stands for RIT Alumni Advisory Hub. We started this initiative in back in March, April. About 30 odd weeks, we have been doing a different session every week. Some of the activities we are doing as a part of this is working with the college to focus on the academics. We are doing some technology sessions which are helpful for the students as well as our alumni. Guidance in terms of different topics, right? Mentorship, personal guidance, guidance in terms of choosing the curriculum, guidance in terms of technology. Networking is a big aspect of what we are doing. During last 34 weeks or so, our LinkedIn network has been more than 1100 people now, which is great. And for the from the alumni itself, we are also doing some guest lectures. Mentoring is a big part. We are doing several mentoring programs for our students starting from first year, second year, and onwards. We are also working on different programs to improve the soft skills of the students, business opportunities for the network between alumni, RIT, etc. We are also in the process of forming a Section 8 non-profit company to channel the activities of our association. And one of the biggest part of our uh, activities, especially from the overseas community perspective, uh, guidance on overseas studies. So this is our second session on that topic. We already did one session where we got people from UK, Germany, USA, Canada, and Australia to talk about a comparison and differences between higher studies in the specific geographies. This is a second session where we will do deep dive on a higher study in USA, and then we are also planning a few more sessions for other countries, as well as a session dedicated to arranging finances, loans, and visa. So without spending much time, let me go to the introductions. I'll request each one of the panelists to introduce themselves. I'll start myself. As many of you know, my name is Yogesh Hasabnis. I am from Battisharala originally. I did my mechanical engineering from RIT itself, way back in 1995. After that, I did my master's in software engineering from BITS Pilani. I've been working in USA from 2005, so almost 16 years now. My current role, I'm working with IBM USA, helping clients transform their businesses. So business transformation, digital transformation. I work with banks, education companies, energy companies, airlines, different sort of companies. So that's about me. Uh, I think Amit is not there. So Ayush, can I request you to start?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Ayush Sharma. I graduated in 2007, bachelor's in mechanical engineering out of Government College of Engineering in Salem, Tamil Nadu. And then from there, I did my master's in supply chain management. I graduated in 2009. Supply chain master's was from University of Texas in Dallas. And I've been working in the supply chain space since that time. Currently, I'm a senior director for global source to contract at one of the leading supply chain software companies. And my day job involves working with a large number of Fortune 50, Fortune 100 companies and trying to help them optimize how they spend their money.
And Ayush, you are currently based out of Dallas, Texas, right?
Yes, I'm out of Dallas, Texas. Yeah.
Okay. I think that is something I forgot to mention. I'm currently based out of Raleigh, North Carolina, in the southern part of USA. Josna?
Hi everyone. So can you see me? Yeah. So I think we met last time. So my name is Jyotsna Kulkarni. So I was born and raised in RIT. So I did my bachelor's and master's in mechanical engineering from RIT in 2013. So I've been living here in the US since last 6 years. After coming here, I did my MS from the University of Arizona in 2019 in industrial engineering. So presently, I live in Kansas with my family. And I have started my PhD last semester in mechanical engineering at the University of Kansas. So so I just finished my first semester, and because of the pandemic, I'm taking my classes online. So I'm looking forward to go to the university and study. So so that's me.
Thanks, Josna. Adit?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Aditya Doshi, and uh, I I did my bachelor's in civil engineering from College of Engineering Pune in 2015. Then I worked for 3 years as a structural engineer for Dar Al Handashah in Pune, and after that I joined the Purdue University for my master's, and I completed my master's in 2020 last year, and I joined a company called Lead Engineering for design of bridges. So I'm a bridge engineer, and I'm working since July. And I'm based out of Springfield, Illinois. It's the capital of the Illinois state. And yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Aditya. Chaitanya, are you there?
Yes, Yogesh. Hi everyone, I'm Chaitanya Namdar. I was born and raised in Shirara first, and then I moved to Islampur, and I completed my bachelor's from Sinhagad Institute of Technology, Kondwa, in 2015. After that, I worked for 2 years as a mechanical design engineer in one of the companies in Pune. And after that, I came to US for doing master's in mechanical engineering from Wayne State University, Michigan. So I completed my master's from 2017 to 19 in with major of CD and FEA analysis in technical section. After that, I'm currently working in Rivian. It is a second largest leading EV manufacturing company after Tesla. So it is just like a Tesla, and I'm working there as a design engineers in body and closures parts like a door, windshields, and etc. So I'm currently designing those parts for the Rivian, and I'm based in currently in Michigan, which is a like automotive hub of USA. Yeah, that's it, Yogesh.
Thank you, Chaitanya. Finally, Adarsh, you are there?
Yeah. So my name is Adarsh. I was born and raised in New Delhi, and I moved to Islampur in 2015 to do my undergraduate in computer science engineering. I completed my undergraduate in 2019, and since then I have been in startups and also I have two startups. One is in India and one is based in Singapore. I came to US like 2 weeks back, so I'm so like I just came to US so recently that I'm still jet lagged, and so I'm doing my master's of science in entrepreneurship here from Boston College, and I currently live in Needham, which is a suburb area of Boston. So yeah, that's me.
Thanks. Thank you, Adarsh. So, without further ado, let us jump into the session. Before we start the session, I just wanted to set some guidelines, right? Or a disclaimer, for a lack of better word. Uh, as you heard, we work for different companies. However, whatever the opinions we are talking here, those are based on our own experiences. They do not represent our organization necessarily. And this is not the only way, right? This is based on the experiences we got while staying in USA or studying in USA. So it is more like a guidance from that perspective. Okay. So what we did to keep this session more relevant to the students is, as a part of the registration process, we had requested students to submit any questions they were like high on their agenda they would like to know. And can you, if you're not talking, can you be please on mute? Thank you. So we collected a list of questions which were high on students' mind about the overseas studies in USA, and so, like what we saw was most of the students have similar questions. So we have prepared a list of questions that most of students would like to know about. We have arranged those set of questions in 4 categories. One is college and specialization specific information, like how to choose specialization, etc. What is difference between MBA and masters? What is difference between doing in what IIT versus in US university? Those kind of things. Another topic is application process. What is required for the application? What are the documentation? What is a prerequisite? What are the exams? What you need to do, start doing from right now? Those kind of things. Third one, of course, big on everybody's mind is financials. How much it is going to cost me to do the MS, so on and so forth. So that is a third section. And then finally, we will also talk about a bit about a life in USA, how to prepare yourself, because there is a big difference when you come to USA. And I'm pretty sure all of these people who are there, who are helping us with this session today, they will talk more about that. Everybody has got unique experiences and how different it is from studying as well as living in the USA. So we will also talk about that. And after that, this should cover most of the questions you have based on the questions you submitted during the registration time. But after we're done with this, we will take any live questions. So if you have any questions, park them, put them in a chat window. We are monitoring the chat window and we will take those questions towards end of the session. So let us start first with colleges and specialization specific information. So a lot of people have asked, how to choose the right university, how to choose the right specific right specialization. And again, a lot of our students are from mechanical background. A lot of questions we got specific to engineering management, supply chain management. So I will request Ayush to lead with this topic. Give your thoughts on how to choose university, how to choose specialization, and with additional thoughts specific to supply chain and engineering management.
Yeah, of course. So let me start by saying, like, my bachelor's was in mechanical engineering, right? So I'm a mechanical engineer as well. What I started to see, and I always get asked, why did I pick supply chain management as an area of specialization? And the real reason is, after doing mechanical engineering, I towards the end of the course anyway, I was looking for what to do next, and I had a job offer lined up from a company in India, one of the software companies for a job, but I was also exploring other opportunities. And one of the fields at that time that was just coming out into sort of the education space, there weren't many supply chain degrees at that time when I was looking around in 2006, 2007. And this was an area where I just couldn't wrap my head around some of the complexity at that time. So I thought it would be interesting to study this area in more detail. And that was one of the main reasons I chose this area in general. It was a fairly risky move back then. I don't think it's as risky anymore now. I think there's a lot more support in the community, and also there are tons of universities that offer specialization programs in supply chain and related areas. But I didn't know much, is what I was saying, when I started. And hopefully what I'm trying to cover here will help anyone that is trying to go down that same path. So there's kind of a direct line between a lot of the engineering disciplines and what you try to do in supply chain management. Because in engineering, you're talking about how to make stuff, and you're learning a lot about that. In mechanical engineering specifically, we're learning about things in sort of a manufacturing environment. So the direct straight line that I could draw between that and supply chain management was, okay, now we've manufactured the goods. Now, how does all of this actually work in terms of ordering these goods, in terms of getting the finished products to customers?
Hey, Ayush,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you mind slowing down a bit? I think it might be going a little fast for most of people.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at
Thank
all.
you.
Sure. So, like I was saying, so I was just trying to draw a straight line between what we learned in engineering, which is how to make things, and what you learn in supply chain management, which is how do you actually get stuff into the hands of customers after you make things. And then in order to manufacture products, you actually need raw materials, you need so many other components. How do you get all of that in time so that the entire process is as efficient as possible? So that whole problem was very complex. So I got really interested in that. But what I learned after studying this for a few years was that there are several disciplines that are kind of interrelated. So for anyone that is interested in this space, meaning in engineering, you study a little bit about operations research and operations management. I think there are 1 or 2 courses around operations management, but there are a wide variety of study areas or disciplines that are linked to operations management. One is supply chain management, that is basically managing the flow of goods between point A and point B, trying to get products into the hands of customers, etc. And then you also have supply chain engineering, which is a sister specialty, but focused more on the mathematical aspects of supply chain management, like mathematical optimization, regression analysis, etc. If you want more of a technical track, a lot of the folks that are looking to specialize in sort of research and other related fields end up going down the industrial engineering or operational research path. I also know a lot of folks that have graduated in industrial engineering, but are now looking at roles in the supply chain space, right? So what I'm saying is there are all these fields like supply chain management, industrial engineering, systems engineering, operations research, and operations management that are really interrelated. So I would try to broaden the scope of what you're looking at beyond just focusing on a specific course. Try to look at a basket of courses, and then try to look at colleges that are really well ranked in those areas. So in terms of selecting universities, maybe I can just talk for a few seconds on that. And then obviously I can talk later about coursework and so on. But once you've decided on the basket of courses or specializations that you want to pursue, I think, all the folks that are applying probably look at university rankings and so on, right? So there's US News and a wide variety of outlets published rankings. But for supply chain, I think the trend is that in the last 7 to 8 years, there have been a lot of universities that claim to be leaders in the supply chain space. But usually they're talking about one particular type of degree. So I would encourage you to look at specifically, full-time masters in science type degrees when you're looking at university rankings. I do know a few universities off the top of my head that are really, good in the supply chain space. In general, they're really well reputed, right? So in the Michigan area, I think one of the speakers was talking about Michigan. That area is really good for supply chain as well in terms of studies and universities. So Michigan State and University of Michigan Ann Arbor are both really good universities in that area. But you also have in the East Coast, you have Rutgers, Penn State, and even Purdue, for example, Arizona State. There are all these universities that are really good, and they rank usually within the top 20 and very consistently over the past few years. So for anyone that's looking at specific universities, I would urge you to look at the top 20 in this field over the course of 4 to 5 years, because that's when a lot of new universities have come up, and they're not necessarily good, but they try to make it into make their way into the rankings. So don't just look at 2021 or 2020 rankings. Look at the past few years. So let me maybe pause there. I don't want to keep going on, but happy to come back in and talk about supply chain management a little bit more.
Sure. Thanks, Ayush, and thanks for explaining that. I think that covered a little bit, not just about supply chain, but how to choose a specialization, how what to think about while choosing a right college. So I would ask others also to chime in, especially not talk about specific subject, but your thoughts on how to choose a specialization, how to go about choosing a right university. So please, Aditya, let us start with Aditya and then Josna and then Chaitanya, just to keep it.
Uh, so hello. So mm, choosing the university and the course is really critical for you because right now everything is changing and maybe robotics is involved and AI is involved. So you have kind of very new fields to explore. And so I would say that go to the university page and check for the professors and maybe the research areas and then you can choose the university and maybe the course also because as mentioned earlier that like now the fields are interdisciplinary, so you just did something in mechanical or something but you end up doing something else somewhere else, so it's kind of very vague and you have very large area to explore and you can talk to many other people who are here or something so that you to get an idea about their fields. My field is like structural engineering and which is the core in civil engineering, but I have seen like my friends did a finite element analysis and now they are working in some financial sector, something else, not in civil engineering. So uh, I would say that for um, like choosing a university. And so, Yogesh sir, should I talk about application process or college
I think,
specialization?
no, I think we'll come to that. We'll come to that in a moment. I just wanted to see if anyone has any other thoughts to add to this topic. One message I think I'm getting from Ayush, both you and Aditya, and also other conversations we have been having around students on this topic. That is, while choosing a specialization, I think probably it is a better idea to stay a little bit at a broader level than choose like a very specific specialization, as for example Ayush said, right, lot of these branches are interconnected. So operation management, SCM, supply chain engineering, industrial engineering, I mean, it is not end of the world if you choose one specialization over other, because the way they are interconnected, you have always a scope to move on to or enhance your skills and go on to some other field. So think about that also. Don't get too much hung on a specific specialization. I think just to divert a little bit, but some of the questions we got were like, okay, I want to do masters in IoT, or some very specific subjects, and I think same advice I would give to them, that okay, you like that subject, that's great, and you want to do some research on that, that's great, but don't get hung too much on that specific subject, because you can do at little bit broader level, go one level up and do more broader view, and then come back to that subject as either one of your research area, one of your specialized subjects or electives. So even that would be true even for the job market as well, right? I mean, if, to get a job, for example, in IoT, you do not necessarily have to have a master's in IoT. You can do that with a master's in IT degree, or even in manufacturing degree for that matter.
Yeah,
So
I just want to add one thing about that, like MS in engineering management. So, like my friends, like at Purdue University, it's a very highly recommended course, and people did that, and people got opportunities in like they came here, they choose half the courses from engineering and half the courses from management, and then they explored their liking during the masters, so that where do they want to go exactly over the career and they chose they applied for the job in that specific field.
yeah, and that is actually another point. It touches another point, right? There are quite a few people asking the questions whether to do a master's immediately after your undergraduation or B, or after 1 or 2 years of work experience, what would be more beneficial? And there is no right answer for that, but it's all about knowing what you want to do. If you have a clear-cut idea what you want to do when you are doing your engineering, but normally what happens is if you work couple of years, you get that level of understanding of which is your really the field you want to study or go further. So can you guys like talk about little bit about this, what in your mind, pros and cons, and also include little bit versus doing MBA, about doing MBA versus doing masters, or MBA versus doing masters in engineering management. And a related topic, a lot of people are asking about doing masters in Indian universities, specifically IITs, versus US universities. So what are pros and cons of that? So
Yeah.
I
So
go ahead.
maybe I can start, and
Yeah.
there were actually a few things that I wanted to say and follow up to the previous discussion as well. So for anyone that is looking to apply, I would highly encourage you to think about the actual specialization or the degree that you're going to get. Give that kind of a more last priority, if you will, for lack of a better word, right? Give first priority to the actual courses that you want to study, because within a degree you have the ability to create your own degree. Essentially, it's not like, at least my experience was in India, you get handed, for my bachelor's, I got handed a curriculum, and these are the courses you're going to study in each semester. But for the master's, I was able to select the courses that I want and frame the degree the way I want it based on my interests, right? So give more priority to the courses. The next priority I would urge you to give to the university or where you're graduating from. And then the specialization, or what it actually says on your degree, I think that's kind of a little bit more behind. So you don't have to worry too much about the specialization. But in line with this thinking, what I would say is right now, if you're in your third year or final year of engineering, start looking at university websites, like I think Aditya was saying there, and they are surprisingly detailed in terms of what courses can you pick from. Usually, you will have a set of core courses for any degree, and then a set of electives. The core courses you have to take for a particular degree, and they constitute probably 50% of the total curriculum for the degree, usually. And then the remaining 50% is made up of electives. And that is where you have a lot of freedom. So for example, we were talking about IoT earlier, right? So if IoT is an area of interest, you can complete your core courses, but maybe in the first semester, you take a course on IoT as one of the 3 courses. So you take one elective, and then you're able to get a feel for what it means. And then you also have that course on your coursework on your resume. So I would really recommend, this is one of the things I wish I would have done earlier, is really look at the professors and the courses in a lot of detail. Usually we just don't even look at that, but please go to the university websites, spend some time, go to the actual course, look at go to the actual degree, look at the courses that make up the degree, the options that you have, and then try to balance what you want to do with what is available to pick from in a particular course. Now, one piece of information is I actually started out graduating from a different degree. So when I started, the degree I was going to pursue was a degree in management and administrative sciences with a specialization in supply chain management. But while I was at the university, after the first year, they actually came up with this Masters of Science in Supply Chain Management degree. It was the first time they were coming out with it. And because I selected the core courses and the electives in a way that overlapped, so I did all of my supply chain courses first, for example, before doing economics and a bunch of other management courses. So that helped me transition during the time that I was doing my master's. And I ended up graduating with an MS in supply chain management rather than an MS in management and administrative sciences. So there is a lot more freedom when you come to do your master's here. To create the course that you want, rather than just go with the flow and go with the set list of courses that you already have. Now, in terms of IITs versus other universities, and maybe we can talk about MS versus MBA first. My personal opinion is that usually work experience is always helpful. It's always viewed favorably. because it means that you have applied what you have learned in sort of a real world situation. And usually, if you've done a couple of years of work in a particular industry, let's say in the automotive space, you can start pursuing automotive companies in the US as well once you've completed your master's. So work experience is always advised. It's not required though for an MS degree, for example. So I've seen a lot of folks graduate from their bachelor's and then go on to do an MS. I was very similar. I didn't have any work experience. It makes it a little bit harder to find your first job, but during your coursework, when you're doing your master's, you can do courses that involve some clinical work. So you can do courses that involve a project in a company or something like that. So there are unique types of courses that you can do to get that experience, or maybe you can do an internship in a company before you graduate. So there are ways around that. But after having seen several folks graduate with an MBA in the US, my personal opinion is that you must have a few years of experience before pursuing an MBA in the US anyway, because when it gets around to actually you applying for a job, the employers require in some ways certain level of work experience or actual project experience, and the types of case studies that you get for for even some of the consulting jobs after you finish your MBA require that kind of knowledge. So it's really better for you to do an MBA in a lot of cases after getting a few years of experience. That's my personal opinion anyway. And I'll let the others talk a little bit about this as well.
Thanks, Ayush. And I think just being cognizant of time, I want to spend some time on the application process also. But before we do that, I would ask Josna and Chaitanya specifically to, if you want to add something into onto this topic, right? Either specialization or work experience before doing MBA or MS, or IIT versus uh, IIT versus MS in USA.
Hey, this is Raju here. Can I add a few comments if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure, Raju.
Hi, so I'm one of this person who has done my master's as well as my MBA here in US. And so I definitely back what Ayush is saying. So it's important, like you do your master's here, having some experience behind you definitely helps you to give you the right context and when you do your MBA, right? Well, rather than coming just fresh. So if you all thinking about MBA, it's good to come here, sort of graduate, doing a master's, if that is the path you want to do. But if management is the path that you are choosing, then it's a whole different story. Anyway, I just want to just add that comment out there.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Raju. And other thing is, like, I have seen a lot of people, or majority of people I know, they have done MS first, and then after few years of work experience, then they have gone for MBA. So that's kind of majority trend, rather than doing MBA immediately after undergraduate, or not even immediately, even after undergraduate and after a few years of work experience. So a lot of people I see have done first MS. Josna and Chaitanya, really quickly, if you want to add on this, otherwise we'll move on to the application process.
This is Josna. So I would like to add just one thing. So as Ayush discussed previously, that you can, it's really flexible to make your own course. So I did my master's in industrial engineering. So literally I could choose cybersecurity, cost estimation, man-machine interaction. So all these type of courses while doing my MS. So it's really flexible. So just go through the courses and think about that. And while looking for the university ranking, just look for the ranking for the particular majors you want to do. So yeah, do that.
That's a great point, right? That's a great point, actually. Not just look at the ranking for, because a lot of these university ranking are based on all their subjects, including liberal arts, everything, right? And also there are different rankings for undergraduate and graduate. So look at those also. And again, just to reiterate what Ayush said, just don't look at the ranking, current ranking, look at ranking over last 3, 4, 5 years. So give you a trend. Chaitanya, you want to add something to this? Hello. Okay, so we can circle back if someone has added any. Sorry, go ahead.
Sir, I just had a piece of advice for the students who would be listening right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just have an advice that before going towards which university you want to study, which course you want to take, you have to be very clear with what exactly you want to do in your life. And once you know that, like for me, it was very clear that I want to do a business, so it was very pretty obvious for me to study entrepreneurship. So you know, you need to be really clear about what exactly you want to do before jumping into looking towards what course you want to do. And once you're clear with that, you can have the course which you want to do, and for the course you can go towards exploring the university that you want to study in.
Yeah, absolutely, Adarsh. That is a great point again, right? Don't jump on the bandwagon just because some subject sounds interesting, looks hot. Everybody is doing that kind of thing because everybody has different objectives, what they want to do, and that is absolutely on point, right? Try to figure out what you want to do, what you are interested in. Just don't choose a specialization because everybody is doing that or that seems hard. Lot of questions about job markets, right? I will slightly touch because it's related to that topic. While like the way the industry is changing and the courses are getting interconnected, right? uh, it is not that okay, this particular specialization has more jobs or less jobs. It is just how your course is structured, what else you know other than your basic engineering degree and stuff like that. So don't get too much hung on the semantics as everyone is telling, or the title you are going to get on your master's certificate, but rather what are the subjects are there on your profile or your transcripts on your CV, and how much you know about those. That will impact to a large level what kind of jobs you will get, what kind of companies you will get jobs into. So Chaitanya, I think I'll give you a few couple minutes to
Yes.
talk on if you have, and then we'll move on to application process.
Yeah, right. So I just wanted to add one more point that while choosing the university, make sure that you see the area around the universities and how many companies are located nearby to the university, which helps in you getting the internships and other like projects related to those companies. So if you like, for myself, I'm living in Michigan, so I have so many like tier one suppliers and OEMs surrounded by my area, so that it will be easy for those companies as well to prefer me over anyone from the like far away from the east coast or west coast, right? That is the main point I would add on.
Yeah, I think that's again a good point, right? While choosing a university, look about the area around it to see what industries are there. And again, I just want to touch briefly, right? Typically, if you see southern states are famous, they have a lot of energy industry, oil and gas industries, and also those typically are good universities to go for courses like chemical engineering or petrochemical and stuff like that. In California, you have a lot of high tech companies, so that typically, you have a lot of opportunities in IT related or technology related subjects. Midwest is manufacturing, like Michigan, Minnesota, Illinois, and all. They have a lot of manufacturing and chemical companies again. So this is a good area to go for those. So some of those things also you should consider while choosing a college, not just the coursework alone. So just I will circle back if you have any other
Hello,
questions.
sir.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. May I please add something to this?
Yes. Go ahead.
I'm Saurabh Yadav. I'm currently pursuing my master's. I'm in Purdue University right now, and I came here last year directly after my undergrad. So I'd like to add on the topic on the question that you mentioned about like whether to come here right after your undergrad or after your job experience. Like you said, it's a really subjective thing. Like I was facing the same dilemma when I was planning to come here, but I decided to come here right after my master's, right after my undergrad, because I already had my portfolio built around a specialization which I wanted to pursue for masters. During my undergrad, I had been very close to and working with HVAC and refrigeration, which is my specialization here in Purdue. So most of my 2 to 3 years of my undergraduate degree were spent in taking projects related to this specialization, and that was enough for me to get a degree here. But if you are planning to do masters after your or decide to do masters in your final year, suppose, where you do not have a portfolio related to the specialization you are applying for, then it makes sense to do some job and get some experience in the area in which you want to apply for your masters. So that's what I would like to say on this.
Yeah.
And second thing I want to add is about the whether do masters here in US or in India. So there are certain areas of specializations which are not offered as master's degree in any of the institutes, mostly or IITs or NITs in India. Uh, and those are offered in many universities, not only in US, but all around the world. So that's one other thing which you should consider, your specialization which you're applying for, that can help you decide the university. Uh, that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh, so much. And that's actually a nice segue. And thanks for bringing up those points about profile building before you apply and all, right? Because some of these things, especially in today's world, you should start thinking from second year, third year, not when you're in your final semester, right? You have the information. When we were at that stage, probably we did not have those many avenues to know, but now that information is there, and that's actually a nice segment or next topic about application process, where we wanted to talk about some of these things. One thing is what is our academic schedule and timelines, when to start preparation, what are the application requirements in terms of documentation, what to include in CV, what is importance of CV, statement of purpose, and recommendation letters. And then one of the topic of that, how to build an effective profile before applying, right? So thanks for bringing that up. I will go to Chaitanya and Aditya specifically because they have done it recently. And Saurabh, because you started, feel free to add anything you want to add onto this topic about application process and all. So Chaitanya, let me start with you. If you can, talk few minutes about application requirements, exam scores, and stuff like that.
Yeah. So if you go to the university page, you will find out the requirements for each university, how much scores they need in what area, like GRE, TOEFL, IELTS. Some universities prefer GRE scores, some do not. So that's completely upon the university selection criteria. I came here in 2017 fall semester. For that, I started preparing in 2016 around June, like 1.5 years prior to that. So it took me around like few months to prepare for the exams, then get the results, and then start the application process in around December of that 2016. So I would say that plan ahead of when do you want to come to US, like in which semester. I would suggest fall semester is the best semester to come to US. So for that, you need a letter of recommendations from the professors, or maybe from the company manager where you are working. And then you should have a strong statement of purpose, SOP, which can define like why you want to do MS in that particular university for the particular course, and what are your skill sets for that, how is your profile built for that. And then on some universities, they do prefer those kind of they go through each SOPs and LORs, and based on that they decide whether to give the admission to the candidate or not. So that's the basic procedure for that, and the time frame which it requires is around 1.5 years.
So Chaitanya, can you also briefly throw some light on what are the typical scores, or what is a good score or decent score in GRE, TOEFL in order to apply, right?
Right. Yeah. So I would start from like a least score, which is like from 290 to 300. This is like basic score you can easily get. Above that, okay. So let me add a point here. Mechanical industries, usually they don't require much higher GRE scores as per as like in the com science and IT. So 305 is a really good score in the some kind of mechanical universities if you're tackling them. But for the same score, you will not get the good university which you will get in mechanical for the IT students. So I would suggest that tackle a score between, if you're a mechanical student, 310 is a really good score, and try to get it between 305 to 315. Then you have a lot of universities open for you, which are good. But if you want like top 10 university, like Michigan, Ann Arbor, or Michigan Tech, then you need to have a score between like 315 and above.
Okay. Also, in terms of documentation, I know you spoke about essays, recommendation letters, and all. Are there any other documentation required? And does internship work experience help on the application process itself?
That is really subjective because I had experience for almost 2 years in India. So it helped me to get like research assistantships directly after coming to US. So they gave me the research assistantship based on my experience. So it's not that they consider, I mean, in my case, I would not talk about any other, but in my case, I did not need experience to come while getting the admission in the US. But for the further part, it helped me to get those kind of like RAs and TAs stuff.
Yeah, and I think that is another great point because again, even if it won't matter for application, but it will help if you get RATA kind of jobs, and then it will also help reduce your financial burden, get some discounts on your tuition fees and all, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, Aditya, I want to talk about some of the things which are specific to application requirement. And I also, if you can also include a documentation required for visa or any specific things you need to do beforehand for visa. Don't want to spend a lot of time in visa and financial, like how to arrange loans and all, because we are doing a specific section dedicated to arranging loans, etc. in 2 or 3 weeks down the line. But talk about what things as a student you need to do for those things as well, if you can.
Okay. I would like to add one thing about application process. Think of an application as a bundle. Like they really look into your profile. They just not look into your, like, say, let's say a specific score in your undergraduation, or you have something or else. They just look into your many points and how you are unique to that points, and like your GRE, TOEFL, how is your SOP, then who is recommending you. That's also an important one. Then if you have work experience, you have research internship, and which university you did undergrad. So all these things matter, and try to build a like profile, good profile and a unique profile for the application. And for visa documents, I would like the financial proof for 2 years, like is a really important one. So the financial proof would include like the tuition fees and living costs in here, and those things. The visa interviewer needs to assure. I need an assurance that you can handle these expenses, and so they may be like a sponsorship letter or maybe a loan letter. Anything would work, or you have some properties that can also be count as a financial proof. And
So, Aditya, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for GRE, I just want to give some tips for GRE and TOEFL. So, like in last few years, the GRE pattern has changed, and it's now more of an application of words in sentences. So you just don't need to know the meaning of words, but you also need to like how to apply them in the sentence, and you can just fill in the blanks like of questions are there. So the application is also an important one. And for TOEFL, it includes like reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So you need to practice all those things. It's not like you need to study something. Practice is more important for TOEFL because it's a practical kind of exam. And the minimum score required, I think, is around 90. But you need to, if you go for 100 or something out of 120, that's a really good score. Yeah.
Thanks, Aditya. And one more thing, you mentioned about SOP and essay. I would like to advise is, while you will have your SOP or essay prepared, which would be common for most of the colleges you are going to apply, please make efforts, make your SOP specific to that college. At least add a one paragraph towards beginning or the end about that college. You have to do some research about the college, and there are a lot of avenues available. If you go to the college website, if specific to your area of interest, right? What are the professors, what research they are doing, and if you can include few lines about that, like why you want to join that specific college, put a name of the professor you got from their website and say something like, okay, I see that Professor XYZ is doing research in this field, which I'm interested in. I would really love to, study from him. Those kind of things do matter. Although those are not the only thing, as Aditya and Chaitanya both said, it's a package, right? You cannot, I mean, there is no fixed like, okay, SOP gets 20 points and this gets 30 points. It is, they look at it as an overall package. So, but those things do count, those things are important. They not only show the interest, but they also show that you are doing your research and you are actually wanting to join that specific college because of a solid reasons, not just because it looks sexy on the paper. Okay, so do that. That is my advice. Anybody else, if they want to add anything specific, especially Saurabh, others who have come recently into this application process related topic. And I don't want to go to details about what each college needs and all, right? That information is very specific to your needs and you will get on that. If you want additional information, we will provide the links and etc. where to get that information post this session. But in general, if you want to add any specific documents required, any specific things required from the application perspective.
Hi. So I have one thing to say. So every university would have international support services. So if you have any questions related to the visa documentations, or if you have any questions related to the particular major and the information related to that, then you would contact them. So you can email them right away. So they are pretty good in replying back. So if you have any question, then don't keep that question in your mind. You can ask that ISS of particular university, so that they would help you.
That's again a good point, just and see, understand this thing, right? Lot of these universities make money out of international students, so they need international students, so they will make it easier for you to go through this process. So getting admission is probably not a big part. What is important for you to understand is how to prepare for the life after, life before, how to build your profile to get the admission. How do you know that what is your area of specialization where you want to do? Because universities want international students, so getting admission is relatively easy, I would say. Certainly, probably easier than getting admission to IITs and all. But the thing is, what you do with that degree, how you prepare yourself during your undergraduate as well as during your master's years to get into professional life, to make yourself ready for that. So that's why we are concentrating more on those aspects in this session. That information is readily available and we can provide that through text or email also, so not a big deal, right? So if anything else on this topic, I'm just looking at the time. We have almost 8 to 10 minutes remaining. So I want to spend some time on the financials and especially expected cost, because that's probably the deciding factor for a lot of people. And then also include, if you can, some of the cost implications like cost of living, like some states are more costly than others, so your experiences, and then how to augment your finances while doing your education. Like Chaitanya and Aditya, you mentioned about RATA kind of jobs, but what other kind of jobs are allowed to be done for an Indian student or a student visa? Those kind of things. So I have these points here, like high level points listed here. So if you can briefly talk about those.
Yeah. I just want to add one thing about application process. There is one app called Yocket, YOCKET. That's a good app to get an idea about what kind of profiles are getting accepted right now into particular courses in particular university. So you will get the idea. And about financial and living in USA, like my Purdue University is a small town. It's a college town. So the chances are that like the living expenses are really low, like compared to Chicago, it's very low, and so you can really save on these kind of things. And plus, for college towns, universities, they have really good opportunities for RAAH and TA, and you can do some odd jobs also on the university campus, like working in small Starbucks or something. But those jobs are really hectic ones, and if you are doing a like through some course, then that would take much of your time. So RIT is a little bit better, and because your tuition fee is waived off, so that's a really good thing.
Aditya, before we move on to other speakers, right? I also want if you can talk a little bit about expected cost, and the tuition fees will vary from university to university. But typically, right, what are the for decent colleges? How much is the expected cost of education plus living, right, per month? How much you spend on the living arrangement? So the tuition fees, typical tuition fees and all.
So for the tuition fee, that varies from around 15,000 to 25,000 per semester. And I would say if you are in a small town or some small, like my town, if 500 is a very minimum you will require to do a good life, to have good life. But that will vary 500 to 1,000 depending on the state and the uh, city you are living in.
Yeah, and you can actually, you will find the cost on university sites, but the difference is those costs are typically meant for students, assuming that they will live alone and all. Typically, the way Indian students would live, right, they will kind of share 3 or 4 students share an apartment, so the costs are a little bit lower from that perspective than what you see on the college websites and all. Chaitanya, again, Chaitanya,
Yes.
Jyotna, Adesh, and Saurabh, I think if you can also add on this expected cost. I would like you to talk a little more on the expected cost, how much expenses they can expect for the 2 years of degree, as well as including tuitions, study materials, and living expenses. Some
Right.
ballpark.
Okay, so for the coursework, you have like a particular amount of credits which you have to complete to get the degree, and each credit ranges from like 1,300 to 1,500 to 1,800 depending on the university. So in my case, I have to complete 32 credits which are of $1,500 each. So you can do the multiplications and then 1,500 into 32, and then you'll get the exact cost I paid for my degree. Apart from that, for the living, usually the rent was around $320 for per month, which I was living in a university campus. So that is another part I'll cover later. But I was living in a university campus, so I had to pay $330 a rent for each month, and I was doing on-campus job. You are allowed to do on-campus job, whatever job is allowed in your is there in your campus, like from the restaurants to the gym to the desk jobs which are available in the buildings of the university, like receptionist kind of thing. So you can do those jobs. They are well paid. I was earning around $650 per month, so my monthly expense was getting covered through on-campus job, and I was saving a little bit for myself. After Yeah, that is the thing. And the next thing is available is TA, which is teaching assistantship, and RA, which is research assistantship. So you become a assistant to teacher for checking exams, taking like tutors and etc. So you also get paid by doing that. And for RA, you do research in particular subject or under particular professor in his lab. In my university, there were no credit waiver. Like if you become TA or RA, your credits will be waived and you don't have to pay a single penny for that semester in some universities. But in my university, they were giving me hourly pay rate, so I was working as an hourly employee. So I would say I did not pay I did not pay any extra amount of money from my loan in my living expense. I just covered all my living expense by doing on-campus jobs. And yeah, one more thing I would like to add. After like 2 semesters, in my case, after 2 semesters, I'm allowed to do internships in on CPT. So by doing internships, you earn a lot of money, around like $2,500 per month, and then you can utilize that money for paying your university fees as well. So you don't have to take extra loan for that.
Okay, thanks, Chaitanya. I just want to take a quick time check. I know we are at the end of 1 hour, but I still would like to cover. So first thing is with the panelists, if they are okay to stay another 15 minutes or so, and also with the students, if they're okay to continue for another some time.
Yeah,
I'd like to add something about finances.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so one thing that I didn't hear is education loans. So a lot of banks in India offer education loans for masters. So
So,
you can
so
opt for that option.
Saurabh,
And
Saurabh, can I? Sorry to interrupt you. And I purposely left out that from this discussion for the reason that 2 years, not 2 years, sorry, 2 or 3 weeks down the line, by end of January or first week of February, we are doing a similar session which is dedicated to finances and arranging loans. We are getting few people from the banks around the college area to talk about the loan process and all. So, I mean, while I don't want to interrupt you, this is very interesting topic. I just want to be cognizant of time. Since we have a specific session arranged for the loans, etc., I would probably park that till that session.
yeah, I just wanted to bring that up as a point and not talk about it. So
Yeah.
that's one option. And in terms of there's another thing called like public universities and private universities, similar to how government colleges and private colleges are there in India. So the cost of tuition and other costs vary based on that too. Like some public universities, like say for example Purdue, are lower in cost as compared to private universities like say New York University, NYU Tandon or something. So that's another thing that you can consider while looking for, like choosing for universities which are applying for.
Yeah, thank you. And that's really a great point, right? And the cost, see, each university cost you will find on the university website, but as Chaitanya and Aditya said, right, these are the indicative costs based on that. Living cost will vary from city to city. Some of the cities are cheaper, but as an average, it can vary. Like assuming that you will be sharing with 3 or 4 other students, living arrangement, it could vary up to like $500 to $1,000 per month. But there are ways you can augment those costs by doing some on-campus jobs or thing. But you can assume that as a guideline for the costing purpose. Okay, so I want to quickly move on to the fourth slide here, or the fourth section here. We quickly talk about life in USA, how you prepare your life. Typically there is a big cultural difference in terms of the way things work, people work, and not even that, even in the way the college and classes and courses are structured in US as versus what we have undergone while doing our bachelor's in India. So I want you to talk a little bit about those aspects, and then a lot of questions we are getting on a similar topic, visa situation in USA, how the COVID thing is impacting, whether it is a good idea to do masters because of the COVID, competition for the jobs after that. So if you want to spend a few minutes on that, and I will start with Josna to talk about some of the life related things.
So yeah, so I'll talk about the cultural and lifestyle adjustments here. So when we think about going outside of India, generally our parents, and the first question which comes in our mind is the food and the people here. So if you are planning to come here, then don't worry about either, because you would get whatever you want to crave for. So there are lots of restaurants or grocery stores are here. Yeah, just a couple of weeks back, I got usacha ras from our local Indian store. So don't worry about the food. So you'll get everything here. And if you don't have your close family or relatives or friends here, if you're coming from India, and if you don't have anyone to help you in that particular state, so you would definitely have your university family there, but you can socialize or make connections, meet new people or friends, and meet people from your area in India, because most of the states here in the US, they have Indian associations or the Maharashtra Mandals. So in Kansas, we have Maharashtra Mandal and India Association, Bengali Association. So you can meet anyone here. So don't worry about that. So and after coming here, if you need anything, you can just email them or you can contact them. and they would help happily to you. So that's from my own experience. And generally, we have some misconceptions about the people, that how people here, people from America, that how would they react to you after coming here. So if you ask them for help, then they would definitely go above and beyond to help you. So at least don't worry about these things if you are planning to come here. So yeah, so I'm living with my husband and son, so I don't know much about the life in the university and dorms, so how to deal with that. So I'm not a right person to talk about these things. But yeah, if you need any help, then you can contact any of us. Just talk, because if you need anything, and if you speak, then definitely you would get help. So
Sure.
that's my advice.
Thanks, Josna. And Chaitanya and Aditya, can you add a little bit and also talk a little bit about the adjustments, how the course structure works in India versus here, from that perspective,
Yes.
amenities, probably. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
am going to actually, okay, sorry. Uh, there are a lot of requests from people. They want to see our faces to make sure that we are not some robots. So I cannot do presentation and camera at the same time. But since we are on the last slide, the next slide is open discussion. So I'm going to turn off screen share for a minute and then bring up the video. So when you're talking, if you don't mind doing that, right?
Yeah, right. Let me start my video.
Okay.
Okay, can you see me now?
Not yet, but go ahead. Keep talking.
Okay. Yeah. So I was staying at a university housing. So don't worry about anything. Okay, I'll talk about course structure first. So as we have like 8 to 5 or 8 to 4 uh, college timings in India, so we have to attend all those lectures simultaneously or like one by one. Here it is not like that. Most of the courses are at evening session after 5, so that people who are working, they can also attend those sessions, and you'll find 1 or 2 lectures or courses where they are allocated in the afternoon session. So I would say there are not like you don't have to attend. No, they are not scheduled every day. So they're like for each course, I had 2 courses. Sorry, 2 sessions. I would say 2 sessions on like Monday and Thursday, and then other subject for Wednesday and Friday, etc. So it is not that hectic schedule which we follow in India. It is not the same here. And the lifestyle, I would say that we celebrate each festival here, like Diwali, Padwa. Even we did Ganpati Mironuk on the roads with a dhol tasha and everything. So you'll find every single thing which you will get in India here, right from the food to the culture and to the friends. I made a lot of Maharashtrian friends and other friends as well from South India. You'll find Maharashtrian and South Indian community a lot here. So that will be not an issue for you to not like to be left out in the cultural race. So you don't have to worry about that. Yeah.
Thanks, Chaitanya. Aditya or Saurabh, if you want to add anything to this, like during education, etc. And if you either of you, like Ayush, anybody, if you want to quickly in 30 seconds talk about how COVID impacts the study as well as the job market.
Yeah, I will talk about the life, cultural and academic adjustments first. Here they follow the different kind of unit system, pound and feet and something. So that kind of like it takes some days or months to get used to adjusting to the use new unit system, like by solving problem. This is basically required for the core subjects mostly, and lifestyle advice, learning new, like you need to learn some new words or new slang words like which are here for which are specifically in for US, but that you will get a hang of after talking to many people in United States. And due to COVID, I don't know much about I heard that there is no problem for the F1 students. right now, like because I think China students are not coming here this year at least, so they are welcoming maybe more students from other parts of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just like to add something which Aditi, who is not here today, had brought up during our last session, right? One adjustment I think a lot of students are is a part of your preparation that should be is when you are in India, when you are doing undergrad, you hardly do any work at home, right? Everything like parents say, okay, you concentrate on your studies and we'll take care. You don't have to cook, you don't have to do dishes, you don't have to do anything. But when you come to the US, that's one of the big thing you have to mentally prepare for yourself, and others also put in the chat, like learn cooking if possible before coming here. It will not only save you money, it will also save you a lot of time, and especially if you are studying in the area which is cold in winters and a lot of snow and all, you cannot go out, stuff like that. That will help. And you have to do some of those things in USA which you wouldn't have done in your life because you are a pampered kid, whatever, like that, right? So
Yeah.
that is a big adjustment, and I think make sure that you at least know basic cooking. When you come here, you can manage at least for yourself anything other than tea and Maggie. Okay, go ahead, please. I think Chaitanya and others, I will let you add your perspective as well.
Yeah, that is the main point. You need to. It's not that even if you don't cooking or to know how to cook in India, I have seen so many people becoming like good chef after coming here. So that is yeah, and don't hesitate about any kind of work, even if like we don't see like waiters or such kind of like washing our own dishes in India. That is not the big issue here right now, right? So you should be open to learn new things. You should be open to do new things, and don't hesitate on anything. Yeah, that is the last advice I would like to give. Yeah.
Thanks, Chaitanya. And Rohit, if you just put on the next slide, I think I should have done this before, ask someone else to do, because I was not able to do slide share as well as camera at the same time. So I'll leave few minutes for any open discussions, any other questions people have. That also includes the panelist Ayush, Aditya, Chaitanya, Saurabh. If you want to add something which is you think important and not covered so far, please go ahead.
Yogi, if you can add some comments on current situation in US.
Uh, Okay, so I think some of that got answered, right? I won't worry too much about what's happening politically as well as COVID related, in the sense that a lot of the students are either in the final year, third year, right? So nobody knows how the things will be after 2 years, 3 years, right? And I mean, okay, for the visa situation, considering everything, it might be a bit difficult to get the job visa initially. I mean, you will get the job. Getting job is not a big deal. I think getting job with a visa is kind of a bigger deal. Not a lot of companies are willing to apply. But then, when you do master's years, you have 2 to 3 years on OPT to find the job, and also I don't think that's a big worry to find a job. It might take, because of COVID and because of other situation, it might take a month or two more to find a job, or it might take little more time to job which you want, like you might have a little bit of struggle, you might have to do a little bit of less salary job, or job in an area you don't want geographically. But I don't think that's a big problem. um, Again, I will let and I will just take a step back, especially Aditya, Chaitanya, and all those people who came here a couple years ago, and by the time they completed their graduation, looking for the jobs, COVID hit, so there was a little bit of a struggle probably. But then I don't think you should base your decision based on that, because you really cannot predict what the things are going to be. So I think that's my 2 cents actually on this one. Uh, okay, so I will let Ayush or Josna and even Aditya others add on to this, but that's what I feel.
Yeah, maybe I can add something here. And I also see there's a question about opportunities in supply chain. I think, broadly speaking, what I would say for anyone that is looking to come here is use your mornings and afternoons, because like someone pointed out earlier, a lot of the coursework is for master's courses anyway, is spread out during the day. Sometimes it's in the evenings to accommodate people that are working. So use your mornings to look at what the job market is doing, to find opportunities for internships well in advance of when you can actually apply. I would also encourage people to look at their coursework and try to build in as much of external experience in the coursework as possible. So for example, if you can do a company project as part of one of your courses, go for that course, because that'll give you a direct line with, even if the project is for free, it'll give you a direct contact with someone that's in the industry and so on. With respect to opportunities and current business environment, like Yogesh said, I don't really think COVID is affecting too many industries. It is affecting a certain type of industry related to travel, tourism, etc. And but overall, I feel like as long as you focus on picking the right courses, and what I mean is try to find things like AI, machine learning, try to do some courses on analytics, and really get the basics down in terms of your actual coursework. Especially for supply chain, I think a lot of focus is around the analytics piece. How many software tools can you get experience in before you actually get around to applying a job? Do you have some kind of basic machine learning experience? Maybe even if it's a project that you did on your own time, can you show something on like GitHub or something like that? I think more and more companies are asking for this. As long as you do those things, I don't think COVID or anything else will really impact your opportunities in the future.
Thanks, Ayush, on elaborating that. And I'm just looking at another question. What is the probability to get admission for MBA just after completion of graduate? I think we did touch this subject a little bit earlier, and I think we also responded in the chat. So the short of it is, right, getting admission is one thing, but especially after MBA, if you want to get an MBA level job, companies will look for certain work experience before that. So you might not get a job of an MBA level if you do not have a work experience. That's my personal opinion. And again, if anybody wants to add to that, I will let people add. Okay. Masters in yes, especially in operational management. So specific guidance for operation management, right? I think just for interest of time, I don't think we can go into each and every specialization. But if what kind of guidance you are looking, especially when you say operation management, because um, we have been talking, right? There a lot of subjects are interconnected. So if you want specifically which universities and good and all, we can work that. Maybe towards the end of this we have an email ID listed, and you can email and we can specifically give some guidance on that. I'm not very sure what do you mean by specific guidance in that area. I have a question to have, like, can industry experience replace profile building? So I think the question is little misleading. Really, it will not replace profile building. It will actually help your profile building, right? In your profile, if you have that industry experience along with your internship or along with your courses, and Saurabh rightly said he was interested in, say, refrigeration and HVAC. If he had courses as well as internships in that area to add to his profile, that certainly helps. And again, guys, don't just think about what will help your application, right? Also think about what will help you during the coursework. What kind of background, what kind of experiences, what kind of knowledge at your undergraduate level will help you during your coursework. So see, if you have some of the groundwork you have already done, you can either skip some of the 101 level subjects and go to a little higher level subjects during your undergraduate, or you can use your knowledge you get to basically increase your GPA, or take some additional classes. Instead of 32 credits, if you know some of the subjects, you can go for like 38 credits maybe. So there is nothing like replace your profile building. You have to build your profile that includes internship, that includes any leadership activities you have done around your undergraduate college, any social work you have done. Every bit helps, right? And that not only helps to just prepare your CV, but it helps you when you come abroad to, in a way you will interact with people with more confidence, where you understand the things, and where you will approach the job market, and is a little relatively easier to get jobs more relevant to your experience. So that's again my take on this. Okay, so Rohit, do we have any other questions?
I think many questions have answered itself in the chat box. So
Okay.
is there any other question? If audience want to ask, then they can just unmute themselves and ask.
And while we are doing that, can you just put on the next slide from my deck?
Yogi, I have one question.
What? Yeah, go ahead, Abba.
Yogi, I think there was mention about non-GRE universities. I think Ayush or somebody mentioned that there are universities which do not accept, or they do not have the GRE.
No, do not require GRE. They will accept.
Yeah. They will accept. Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, what is the credibility in sense compared to other top 10 or top 5, whatever you say? I think, can we opt these universities? Is there any apprehension?
So yeah, I point out that thing actually, that some universities, they don't require GRE scores. There are, I have seen there are people whose score were very low, like 280, 290, and they still got into some universities. I would not say you prefer, like you straight away go and apply just for the sake of getting like MS from the US. You first try to get the good score, then find the universities which are good and which are based on the GRE score, and which requires good score. But keep in mind that if you try like a couple of times or maybe 3 times and you don't get the score which you are aiming for, still there are some universities for the backup purpose where you can get into those universities, get the coursework framed in your area, and then get the job in the US market. So don't keep it as a priority, but you can keep it as a backup, I would say.
Yeah, and other thing I would just like to add about here, right? It is not that those universities are not reputed or not bad. They just look at other stuff, right? Not just the GRE score, but they will look at your, grades throughout your engineering, what work you have done, what are your, how does your profile look like? So that, like, just I'll give an example specifically because of COVID. Lot of places, SATs for undergrads in US, like high school students in US, were not conducted. And this year specifically, some of the same universities, like reputed universities, they are not requiring the SATs. That does not mean that they accept anybody. That just means that they were already looking at your high school scores and all, but they will, even if you don't have SAT score because of COVID, you could not take the SAT. You still need to be at par with the other students in terms of your high school grades, like, high school GPA and stuff like that. It is just that this one particular thing they are not looking, but they will anyway look at your overall package. So that's not like, that doesn't necessarily bar a university from you to applying because that university does not require GRE. That doesn't mean that's a bad university or not a reputed university. I think that's where your question was going. If we don't have,
thanks, Yogesh. Thanks.
If we
Yogesh and Manali here. Actually, I wanted to add something. Yeah, to answer this question, actually, as I'm in the flow, I have searched for some things, and actually for this year only, some universities have waived off GRE due to COVID, and the list is available on Yocket or some other websites. So simply, who is willing to skip the GRE, they can search the university they want on those websites, and then they decide if they have to go for GRE or not. That's it.
I would suggest don't decide to go on GRE or not based on that. I would suggest go for GRE, aim for a good score, and as Chaitanya suggested, use these universities as a backup. Okay.
And to be frank, I have checked the list, and actually the universities which have waived GRE, those are not much on the top list actually.
Yeah.
From my experience, yeah.
So we went probably. I think I would have liked this session for 90 minutes, but anyways, that my goal is probably achieved now. Quickly talking about the next steps, as I was telling, we will be doing a session specifically targeted for financial options for overseas education, visa and other preparation. In next 2 to 3 weeks, we are working with some of the banks, specifically around the our college RIT area, like Islampur Rajaram Bapu Bank, and some other banks in our area. We will be getting few officers from the bank who will help us guide what's their loan process, what documentation they require for loans and all. And we will also on that session talk about what kind of financials you are looking at from the US education perspective or overseas education perspective in general. We'll be also doing a deep dive session similar to this, what we are doing now for a higher education in Canada, probably mid to late February. We are just working on the logistics, and there is also plan to plan a country-specific deep dive session for especially UK, Germany, and Australia. Once we have the enough mass of the students as well as the panelists to do that, we will plan for those sessions. Rohit, can you go to the next slide, please? So I want to specifically thank everyone who joined, students as well as the panelists. Special thanks to people who are not our alumni but still agreed to help me with this session by taking their Saturday morning out, Ayush, Aditya, and Chaitanya. I would also thank Josna and others, but you are family, you are alumni, so I will thank other people more. We missed Amit today. So what I want to do is, like, for each of the panelists, I want to give 30 seconds or less to you, and one last advice you want to give to the students. So my advice, I already put it there. When you study overseas, right, it is not just about the what you study in the parts of the course, but everything you do, every step is a learning experience. It is not just about going to a new country, but it will also open your minds. You will learn new ways to think, new ways to communicate with the people, and that will actually broaden your horizons than anything you will study in the classroom. So take it as an overall experience, not just the opportunity to study in the classrooms. Like, you will learn to cook, you will learn to work in Starbucks, you will learn to do the dishes. Not only that, but you will learn how to talk to a mixed cultural audience, international audience, how to prepare your profile. So look at this as overall experience, and it will certainly help broaden your horizons. So Ayush, one last advice.
Yeah, my advice is to start thinking globally, irrespective of what country you apply to and where you end up graduating from. And more importantly, try to think in terms of what you actually want to do, and try and make it happen, rather than waiting for something to be given to you. So I think I was guilty of this. We all get into the habit of, okay, this is the set of courses, this is the degree that I'll get, and then I just have to find a job. Now, what are some things that you can do that aren't just part of the norm that will set you apart? Start thinking about that, and then also apply a global perspective, because once you go to a country, it's not necessary that you'll just be working with teams in that country. You'll end up working with teams across various continents. So start applying that perspective.
Thanks, Ayush. And actually, before we move on to the next slide, I just wanted to, I kind of missed that point. A lot of people have asked, and it is related to this point actually. So a lot of people have asked, like, how much degrees in US carry the weightage in India if they want to come back to India and find the jobs. I think, that's kind of a non-question for me, in the sense that those degrees do carry weightage, and it will not hamper anyway your ability to find jobs in India. In fact, it will actually enhance having a degree from a overseas or US university to find a job in India. You might find a little different kind of job, because not a lot of jobs are research oriented available in India, especially in IT and other fields, but that thing is changing. So that's a non-question for me. But as Ayush said, use this overseas study as an opportunity to broaden your horizons, be a global citizen. It will help you in any country. And as the time goes, you will find that you are working more and more with people from all across the world. So that will help the thing. Thanks for pointing that out, Ayush. So Josna?
Hi. So actually, I missed one point for the particularly about application process. So I would say that spare sufficient time for your statement of purpose, because it took me a month to prepare my SOP, and particularly show your SOP to at least 2 to 3 people from your area, your professor or the seniors working in that area, because the feedback from them would help you a lot in that. So work on that. And one more thing is that work on your interpersonal skills and start building those from the early of your engineering, from the first year of your engineering, because it takes time, and that would help you a lot if you are planning to go work in India or planning to go outside. So that's from my personal experience, and I'm still working on that. So yeah, so work on that.
And I would again add little bit to that. While you're working on your SOP, right, there is
Yeah.
no excuse for having spelling or grammar mistakes in that. So if you need,
No.
show it
Yeah.
to your English teacher or English professor. And then
Yeah.
another advice is, nowadays you have all online dictionaries. So if you are doing in your Word on your computer, make sure you install the American English Dictionary, not the US English Dictionary if you are applying for American university, and do the spell and grammar check of your SOP, right? What you write, but there is no excuse of having those kind of mistakes.
Right. Because for my PhD application, I showed my SOP to at least 5 people from my area who is pursuing PhD in mechanical engineering, who have done his PhD. My husband, whose English is very good, so I showed each and every part of my SOP to him at least 10 times. So yeah, so pay attention to these things as well while
Yeah.
your SOP
And,
or letters of recommendations.
yeah, and that is one of the things actually as a part of RAAH Overseas Community we are trying to build. That if you need help from either of us, any of us, we are willing to help you. That like review your SOP or give session, but we will not write your SOP for you. That I will tell
Right.
you. Okay, thanks, Jyotna. Aditya, if you want to give one last advice.
Yeah. So I want to just like say to students like come with an open mind and try to make some local friends also, because some many of the courses here have out of 15 say 14 students will be Indians. So lot of students do that mistake of staying in the local like Indian culture only. So but to explore things, come here and maybe try to make some local friends and try to learn some local culture and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. And that is another good point, Aditya. Don't just stay within your group. And especially nowadays, I see like when I came and now, right, a lot of Indian people. So not only Indian, but people tend to stick within only their language group also, right? Only within Marathi people, only within people from their area. So don't do that. Mix with not, I would say, not only people from other countries, but also people from other states from India as well, right? Uh, Chaitanya, one last advice you have for the students?
Yeah, I would add like do some research first, like what kind of technology is coming in future days and where do you see yourself in next 5 years. So that would really help to design your coursework and to get it into the exact good university, because I did not know few terms back in India, and now that I got introduced after coming here, and that's why I planned myself in the position which I am currently in. So I would say do a lot of research and see the technologies which it will be coming in like next 2 3 5 years once you are graduating, like at the edge of your graduation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chaitanya, and thanks everyone for joining this session. Adarsh had to drop a little earlier, and also thank you, Saurabh, and I missed the name who spoke earlier, for adding your views. So thank you so much, and if anything else, Rohit, can you put up the last slide, please? Okay, so for all the people who are registered, right, we had sent out an email to you about the registration. So you have your email IDs. That is, RAAH at ritindia.edu. and ritalumni.advisory@gmail.com. So if you have any further questions, follow up, send an email to these email IDs, and we will try to answer your questions. So thank you so much. Have a good weekend. For people in US, have a good day. Enjoy your remaining of the day, and thanks for taking out time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Thank you all. And thanks to all panelists.
Yogesh.
I think Ramesh sir all have left actually. So,
okay, all US panelists left, huh?
Yeah, Suyash, can you please stop the recording?
Yeah. So we are meeting after this, right?
Not on this link.
Yeah, our regular Google Meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you all. Good night.